Hey guys, Venus, the goddess of love and money and beauty and kindness and peace, is moving into the sign of her home kingdom, the sign of Libra, where she'll be traveling from the 29th of August through to the 22nd of September. And I love, love, love this so much because she's coming into a gorgeous trine with Jupiter in the middle of September. And conjunct Eros and Cupido, each of them. It's something to do with a grand love, a big love, or when it comes to money, Jupiter is wealth and Venus is money. Some big energy here as well, individually, hopefully, and collectively. So there's a luscious mid-September sky. Thank you, Venus and Jupiter. But she also comes into a square to Pluto near the end of the month. We'll talk about what that might mean for you, me, and the world. And in the very beginning of her transit, around September 3rd, she lands her little butt on the south node of fate in the sign of Libra in her home kingdom. This is the node of fate where we have seen the war in the Middle East arise because the Libra part of the sky is the natal ascendant of the nation of Israel. And when we had eclipses here, especially October of last year, we saw the south node on the ascendant of Israel. We saw the eclipse happen just around the time of the Hamas incursion into Israel that started this whole conflagration. So we know that when Venus, the goddess of peace, is sitting down on the south node, which is co-present with the nation of Israel's ascendant, and there will be an eclipse this October, maybe it's a good thing, maybe or maybe not, because South Node can take away the goodness of a benefic in the Hellenistic tradition. So her ability to generate peace is compromised. I don't know. I'll look at it a little closer. Okay, I'm not sure. So welcome to my channel. If you're new, I am a Western tropical zodiac astrologer. This is not Indian, Vedic, or sidereal astrology. Number two, I love fixed stars and minor asteroids, and we're taking Cupido and Eros, the asteroid of falling in love, of passion, of ardor. These two asteroids are synced for the sky in the middle of September. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we've got Jupiter conjunct one of them and Venus the other. So it's like Cupido with Jupiter and Eros with Venus. And this is her son in the mythology of the ancient world, her son who had the arrow that made people fall in love. So we're going to talk about how we might fall back in love with life, with some kind of gracious love story, grand love. Love is larger than life, is a very Venus Jupiter trine energy. Elizabeth Taylor was born with that. She loved big, loud, and out loud, many husbands. Kristen Stewart of Twilight, that vampire movie, but also the whole concept of love that's so big Jupiter, love, Venus, that I'm going to sacrifice myself, become a vampire in order to be immortal and be with him forever. I always thought that was kind of dumb because you got to wait till you really don't like the person anymore because they've got like their smelly socks on the floor and they forget to leave the toilet lid up or down, however you like it. And they never do their own chores around the house. Like, let's face it, that whole Kristen Stewart Twilight Zone movie series, book series, is really dumb. It's really dumb. Like, would you really want to be immortal forever to capture the love of one person that you will later regret, or all the infatuation will fade? So just my take on that one. But it's that Venus and Jupiter larger than life big love archetype. So all those big love movies like the Titanic, like the Twilight Zone series, these are very archetypally the energy of Venus and Jupiter coming into a trine together in the sky during the month of September, around the 14th and 15th. We also are going to break it down for your sign. Of course, I'll briefly cover world events today. This video is not really going to be big time world events. And if you know what that means, that's mundane astrology. I like to cover events that are happening in the wars of the world, in the politics of the world, in the climate activities in the world. That's just a part of my temperament. I'm very futuristic or forecasting prophetic type stuff, but I also cover how you can deal with this transit and what it might mean for you. And that's the second half of most of my video series. And in order to get that, I just got a pen all over me. You just jump ahead to your timestamps if you want in the chapters by clicking the title of the video or in my pinned comments as well. I do prefer you stick around to hear some of the meaning of this because I'll be talking about a little bit of the archetypal meaning of Venus in a Jupiter context, as well as some suggestions about world events. Second of all, if you're listening to this on August the 20th is when I'm recording, I think you guys get it 4 days later. My Patreon Patreon community gets this early access ad-free content today. And if you like to get ahead of the crowd, don't have to watch ads, get to have me preferential you in the comments in Patreon where I can really get down and have a chat box discussions and stuff, come over, check me out. It's $5 a month for the cheapest tier. And you also have Zoom meetings with me and discounts on courses and readings, although I'm not doing readings at this time, really. But come aboard and check out my Patreon community and my Sky Reader class, Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life, starts in the month of September. The third weekend is probably our start date. We're going to run 6 weeks as we always do. It's live. You get content access forever. You get to keep the content. If you can't make all the classes, no big deal. Homework assignments and feedback from me on the Facebook group, private Facebook group, as well as weekly coaching calls. So all said and done, it's pretty high touch and it's quite affordable. So learn a little astrology. Come join me in September. The wait list for early bird notices is in the description box below, and we'll open enrollment sometime in September. All right. I've got the art of the auctioneer down these days. All right. So one of the things I want to talk about here is Venus moving into Libra. Just as a principle, she came out of Virgo, the sign of her fall, her detriment. She's not good in that sign. And as she was coming out of Virgo, or will be coming out of Virgo around the 29th of the month of August, depending on your time zone, she's leaving a place of great difficulty that coincided with a Venus return for Kamala Harris under the sky of a grand T-square. I mean, it's really gnarly, a T-square energy, and a grand cross that was even forming in other ways that I won't go into. So I don't know what will have happened because I'm recording on only the Tuesday, the 20th of the DNC, but my concern was her Venus return, Venus at Virgo 17 on her natal Venus, opposite Saturn in the real-time sky, which is hard energy, and squaring Mars, Jupiter, is a complicated, difficult, challenging week for her. And we also had some significant challenges coming off of the full moon in Aquarius in her chart as well. So I don't know how it will have played out because I'm recording too soon, but we want to remind you that when Venus is moving through the sign of Virgo, she's not on her best game. For example, peace treaties and peace being forged, even though Virgo is all about the details, she's not that strong here. And it's possible, although I know as of August 20th, there's still an attempt for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. That's probably not going to happen with Venus in the sign of Virgo. I'm going to bet it does not happen by the time she gets into her dignity on the 29th of August. And the other thing about the world events and Venus going through the sign of Virgo is probably not great for the market. She represents currencies and monies, and moving through the sign of Virgo weakens her, and she has no support behind us from Mercury after July 15th. August 15th, after August 15th, Mercury would have retrograded into Leo, where he's in aversion to whatever Venus is doing in his home kingdom. And he rules markets and mercantile, including stock markets. She rules money and currencies. I suggest as a combination that probably looks like July 15th to the 29th, some pretty significant market turbulence may happen in the stock markets or in economic indicators or something like that. So that's general vibes about Venus and Virgo. If you're born with Venus and Virgo, by the way, don't worry about it. You're going to be very detailed oriented and practical. Some of the best artists actually have it. They're very craftsmen, artisans of their craft, So it's not the worst thing to have in your natal sky. But when she's traveling in Virgo through the sky for the world, that's where we could bump into some difficulty when we want money and peace matters to be going really well. So keep it in mind. Libra means many things. It's her home kingdom. It's an air sign. It's very much about the idea of beauty. It's the concept of it. It's also about what brings harmony, and harmony is a Venusian principle. So we have friendship, we have kindness, and we have sisterhood with Venus, right? So when she's in Libra, it's literally a sign which has to do with that justice balancing of the scales. It has to do with treaties and peace treaties. It has to do with alliances, like, the BRICS nations versus, or NATO's an alliance, the way we ally with others and form treaties to be connected with each other can be a Libran story. Judges and courts are Libran stories as well. So when we see her going through this sign, those themes can tend to be highlighted. When she's in her home earthy kingdom of Taurus, we see like flowers and pottery and paintings and spa treatments and all of that stuff. More Venus in the spa getting her nails done. In Libra, she's more in the UN peacekeeping tent and trying to work out good balanced outcomes. Libra library book, a lot of authors end up with Venus in their Libra zone of their chart. That's one indicator you may be an author in this lifetime. There are others, but that's definitely one of them. So away with words, kind words, kind written or spoken words, loving, gentle, kind, peace and energetically, words and deeds and stuff like that. All right, so that's the vibe. Now, what I'm going to say, I'm going to show you the sky, and we're going to get through this together. I promise we will. I want to show you the sky because I want to show you that this is also a very easy and simple, but kind of rare way that she's moving through Libra. It's simple and it's rare. Okay, what's simple about it? As she navigates the sky during her 3-week transit, finishing up around the 22nd of September, she doesn't contact many planets at all. In fact, her main gig is I'm going to hit the South Node, which is also called K2, and that K2 South Node is sitting in the sign of Libra around 6 degrees. I'm going to trundle along a little bit further, and I'm going to hook up around the 19th, 20th degree with a flow behind her. She's looking back over her shoulder to Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter direct in Gemini, Venus direct in Libra. She glances down from her perch and she says, hi, Jupiter. He waves at her. They get a connection going. We have trines between Venus and Jupiter twice a year, usually. The applying trine, the one in which she's heading toward Jupiter, and the waning where she's looking back after having gone past him. So that's that vibration here of something we get a couple of times a year. So that's not that uncommon. And then she's going to square Pluto from Libra. And that is kind of uncommon in a sense that it's the last gasp of Venus squaring Pluto, the last gasp of Venus squaring Pluto in our lives from the sign of Capricorn. So it's very special in that sense, right? It's like we don't get Venus squaring Pluto and Capricorn again. We had it several times since 2008 when Pluto first entered into Capricorn, but I think it was starting in 2009 indeed. She squared Pluto for the first time in that sign from Libra, but we haven't had it. We had it then since 2008 on the yearly, and this is her last chance saloon. She'll come to the very tail end of 29 degrees of Libra, and she will square Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And Pluto's moving toward her because he's retrograding, back ending from Aquarius and moonwalking backwards still into the sign of Capricorn, and she's moving toward him. So there's intense energies with Pluto. And when Pluto and Venus are talking, it has a lot of meaning: dark love, toxic love, forbidden love, things to do maybe with wealth, but wealth at a cost, great prosperity and wealth with a hardship element or a darker side to it. So, toxic energies in the feminine energy sphere, toxic femininity. Everyone's always talking about toxic masculinity. I mean, Venus in a hard aspect of Pluto was fatal attraction with Glenn Close. Like we also have toxic femininity, guys. So this is an energy of that as well. Or powerful women. Pluto power enriches powerful, wealthy women in the news cycle, maybe at the end of this, but the square makes it challenging, not an easy story. So closer to the end of the transit, let's say, the 19th to the 22nd or the 18th to the 22nd, the Pluto-Venus square is playing out. Finally, another rare part of the sky with Venus is just we have the South Node here. Now, we've had the South Node here since last July. But the key point of Venus on the South Node to me is it's more of an historical narrative. It goes back to 2005, 2004, 5, and 6, when the South Node was moving through the sign of Libra. And my question to myself is, can Venus bring peace, or can she not bring peace when she connects to the South Node? So we're going to investigate that briefly together, and then we're going to do the all signs. So I hope that was a decent overview and it makes sense for you and you understand where I'm coming from. If you're new to my channel, don't forget, like, subscribe, and all my regulars too, and hit that notification bell, because it does help the channel a lot when you just push that like button, especially if you're in the live premiere with me. I really appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that South Node story first. I'm going to show you the sky as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you the sky, and I've done a little bit of research to talk about how Venus on the south node, relevant, of course, to cycles of every 18 to 20 years in the sign of Libra, has a very big impact on the outcome of peace in the Middle East when it comes to Israel's relationship to its occupied territory of Gaza or Palestine, and of course the West Bank. But I'm going to share a little bit more about that shortly. So I am looking at this with more of a hopeful eye, but it's kind of a mixed bag of how Venus operates when she's here. So I'll give you some stories to chew on together. We can chew on them before we do the all signs. And in the all signs, we'll be covering the Jupiter trine Venus energy. That's our focal point. Okay. So, and I'll be reading a little Ren Butler about that to you as well. So let's open up with the idea that when the South Node and Venus come together in the sky, we're going to be looking at stories to do with peace, treaties, harmony, judges and judicial systems. I'm talking about, Libra, and Venus, the goddess of peace herself, and goodness and harmony, all of that. We see this on September 3rd, the conjunction is forming. Now, Israel's ascendant is somewhere like 21 degrees of Libra, so it's not exactly on the ascendant, but it is co-present with the ascendant, unlike the eclipse with the South Node last year. We'll get to that eclipse last October. It really was the beginning of this war on the ascendant of Israel. So in essence, if you don't mind, and if you want to just listen in, because I'm asking myself and I'm asking you, can Venus go into the sign of Libra, and can she bring a ceasefire or peace or some kind of cessation of hostilities or whatever you want to call that in the non-proportional asymmetrical war that's going on in the Middle East? Number one, in my little research I did, we saw this happen in 1969, not last. I'm giving you time frames. In December of 69 and September of 1968, we had the experience of Venus encountering the South Node in the sign of Libra. And in 1969 and 1968, certain events were happening in the world that could indicate a repeat pattern. And I'm going to share that pattern in my humble opinion with you. So in 1967 and 1968, we had what was called the continuation of the War of Attrition that started in 1967. It was not a time of peace. Venus did not pull off any major peace deals. It wasn't until 1970 that war with Egypt over the Suez Canal territory that Israel had grabbed from the Six-Day War was just an ongoing slush pile of the same old, same old. So I didn't see the 69 and 68 timeframe of the Venus conjunctions with the South Node in Libra doing much to create peace. So that's my research on that. August 30th of 1986 and September 18th of 1987. Again, no major breakthroughs for peace. It was the time of the Intifada, the beginning of the popular Palestinian uprising against the occupation and the control and the brutality of the Israeli IDF, or Israeli control of the land. And so again, 1967 and 1968, 1986 and 1987, Venus South Node transits through Libra had not brought and did not bring anything that I would plausibly call good outcomes. And I'm going to keep going to the next one, and then we'll talk about what I think this is about. In August of 2005, Israel that was when she was co-joined the South Node, engage in the actual implementation of the removal of Israeli settlers from the Gaza territory, from the occupied part of Palestine on the Gaza side. Now, look, those settlers were there illegally, and then Israel said it's not worth it. It's too hard to police this area, to control and save the settlers from the people who actually live there. And it was illegal, according to the United Nations, for them to even put settlements in Gaza. So it was the retreat by Israel from a failed attempt to settle their people in Gaza. So I wouldn't call that peace. I would call that Israel pulling back from a place of no return and a condition that was not going to allow for them to be successful in any meaningful way. So I don't call that peace. That wasn't a treaty with the Gazans. It was just Israel pulling illegal settlers out And that was what was going on in the implementation of it was going on in August and September of 2005. And Venus was with the South Node on Israel's ascendant in August 30th of 2005. Now, the next time this energy occurs in the historical sequence is November the 28th of 2023. November the 28th of 2023 saw the ceasefire negotiations that led to the release of several hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. We did see a hostage exchange breakthrough at that time. We did not see a permanent cessation of hostilities. You could argue that Venus, the goddess of peace, on the South Node of release in the sign of Israel was literally just a negotiation for release of prisoners and release of hostages. I also came up with some other little tidbit in here that I found interesting. And it was, I'm going to see if I can refine what I came up with. Because remember, I told you guys it could be legal systems as well that are in play, not just war. And so what I did find is this. Hang on a sec. In 1987, so remember I looked back at the 86, 87 Venus South Node twice in Libra. And there was a Landau Commission by Israel. And the Landau Commission was a three-man commission that's set up by the Israeli government to look into the possible wrongful conviction of an IDF officer for the deaths of two Palestinian prisoners in custody. Not a surprise, but the Landau Commission just gave everybody a hand slap, said, well, we want to change it so that if you've got somebody in custody, you have to get them into a judicial, in front of a judge within 8 days instead of like 2 weeks or more. And the idea at the end of the day, the finding was simple. The finding was the commission found that the keeping of prisoners without judicial supervision, was not acceptable for 18 days, and they shortened it. But also, basically, they also said it's just fine to use torture when you have Palestinian prisoners as a method of interrogation. They argued that in the light of what was called the concept of the lesser evil, the actual torture is unacceptable, but moderate physical pressure can be justified in order to uncover a bomb about to explode in a building full of people. Whether the charge is certain to be detonated in 5 minutes or within 5 days. So in other words, justification for torture of prisoners was one of the things that occurred around the time that Venus was actually on the South Node, Israel's first house. So what you see is like nothing great, really nothing great. And we already have a big deal around, the situation that's in the news right now about, well, of course, war crimes, but the treatment of Palestinian prisoners in places in Israel where they are raped and stuff, and then it's just not good. It's just not good. So I don't see this historically looking positive. It didn't look positive last November 28th, except that we had a hostage exchange and a ceasefire. That was a temporary hostage exchange and ceasefire. And in the aftermath, it went right back to not just the regular old bombing of civilians in houses and children and women, but it escalated after that. So there's a real strong feeling here by me that any kind of way that this could turn out really doesn't turn out. That's my final say. It could even be another little mini hostage exchange, where like a dozen here and a dozen there, and then it just goes back to the same old, you know what I mean, right? The same old S show. Because at this point of my recording, August the 20th, we all know, sorry guys, but this is obvious to me, that Netanyahu does not prefer peace. Okay. Even Donald Trump said that. I mean, other people have said that Netanyahu is not looking for peace. He's not even looking to get the hostages back. He's looking to extend the war into a regional war. So basically, there's so many layers to this. It's so obvious, for those who have eyes to see, or aren't clouded by some religious zealotry or fear of sounding like you're anti-Semitic just because you're just calling a spade, that kind of stuff. Okay, I know I just lost a bunch of you, but that's all right. I'm just going to continue on. My consensus about this for the world before we get to your sign is this event around this time around the first 3 or 4 or 5 days of September. Let's say September 1st to the 7th. We're going to feel Venus South Node energies pretty strongly, and we're going to have this kind of maybe kind of half-assed compromise, kind of half-assed event that looks maybe like peace. But the South Node, I think, is weakening Venus's strength here. Venus in Libra by herself, maybe with a North Node, or Venus here by herself without a node at all, could pull this baby off a lot more. The South Node is weakening Venus in the first week of September, and I do think it's going to be a disappointment around the potential for peace. It could even mean a lack of peace. It could even mean a breaking or fracturing of a treaty, some agreement or treaty that is Israel has with another country, with another nation, could be fractured or broken at this time. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Or disappointing judgment in a legal court matter regarding torturing prisoners, that kind of thing. Now, we're going to keep moving forward, and you're going to note the Venus is trucking along, and she will come into that trine to Jupiter. And this is exquisite and powerful. You'll start to feel it September 13th. It's exact on the 14th and 15th, 20 degrees, 20 degrees. That up here, this little one asteroid up here is Eros, life force energy, passion, falling in love. This is Cupido. It's the same idea by any other name. Cupid's arrow, Cupido and Eros, same archetypal energy. When you take Jupiter and blow up Cupido for passion, ardor, Cupid's arrow, and Venus with her, this is her son, by the way, both ways, Cupido and Eros are her son, you really see this energetic of some flourish of love, the glory of love. So let me talk a little bit about the glory of love, if you don't mind, from Ren Butler's The Archetypal Universe, one of those handy books that every astrologer should have. He's coming on my channel to talk about something with me, and we're going to share a little more in depth about his Archetypal Universe course. I will put a link to that course. It starts in September. It runs for 6 months. It's brilliant. I've taken it twice. He's a great teacher. I'll put a link to his course in the description box. It's something that I'm not teaching. I'm not teaching archetypal astrology. I am teaching just regular Hellenistic astrology. So Ren Butler, Archetypal Universe, talking Venus and Jupiter. Guys, are you ready? And he's a friend of mine. So I'm sharing him both as a professional admiration of what he does, but also as a friend. Venus and Jupiter, the principles of a positive energy between Venus and Jupiter can look like a gorgeous and expansive beauty. And he talks about a flower opening up to its full ripe, blossom all the way open. You had to see the flower, and they're so open. You're like, oh my God, this is like the maximum expansion of this rose. That's Jupiter, Venus. Happiness, grand happiness, enjoyment, positive relationships, the glory of love. And then some quotes that he has in here are kind of nice as well. And beauty, culture, art, shopping. Venus is cosmetics, beauty, and fashion. Jupiter says much of it, many of it, more of it. I'll probably hit Sephora during that time and buy a business cosmetics kit or something so I can write off makeup for my channel. Venus, Jupiter, in excess can be really difficult, overspending, gluttony, laziness, passivity, but this is a positive version of it. And there's a quote by someone who has a Venus-Jupiter conjunction named Samuel Johnson. It's better to live rich than to die rich. Now, because Venus is a goddess of money and Jupiter is a god of prosperity or abundance, bounty, or wealth, this can be a nice little glow in each of our lives around a bit of a wealth glow up or a love glow up. Okay. And it depends on where it falls in your sky. And so I will give you the info for your sign. When Venus comes into contact with Pluto, and I'll show that with you just again, because we're not going to focus on that at all on this particular recording. But when she does make a square to Pluto, as I reminded you, this is the last of our lifetime. So she starts out 25 Libra, Pluto at 29. And then by the time we get here to September 19th, we're feeling the 3-degree engagement window. Now, technically, when Venus is here, she's still in orbish of Cupido. A little bit of ardor and extra energy is with her, excessive energy, maybe you would call it. That's the square. Technically, too, as she keeps getting closer over the next 3 days, okay, so the 19th, 20th, 21st, in that square to Pluto, you have to think of it this way. He's moving backwards and she's moving forward. They're coming together. Now, that's also kind of its own kind of rare. There will have been some times where they came together versus they just bumped into each other since 2008, 9, 10, when Venus began to square Pluto, on the yearly. But this twice a year, right? Because there's different squares. This is the closing square. Okay, she's finishing up. So the closing square to Pluto. It really is a bigger story, and I'll be doing a whole video on it because it also is coming off of the last conjunction of Venus and Pluto as well. So we'll talk about that in a standalone video as we get towards September 19th. Just know this, when you get these two together, I use, toxic love, fatal attraction vibes, those are kind of classic, the darker side of this energy, even though when they're together, I have a connection between Venus and Pluto in my chart. So I'm used to it. I have them in a trine relationship. So I have learned what it's like to be a Venus Plutonian girl, right? This is a part of my archetypal story in my chart. A woman of, excessive pleasure or over the top love. I remember I gave you Elizabeth Taylor as an example, but Venus Pluto in Ren's a book on the dark side is obsessive attractions, feelings of jealousy, and possessiveness, passive aggression, or manipulation, the love of power. And so we may see any of those themes, manipulation, aggression, the love of power, possessive, jealous energies in the sky. And we'll have to suss it out. Joan Crawford, Venus Pluto conjunction. Remember Joan Crawford in Mummy Dearest? Love is a fire, but whether it is going to warm your hearth or burn down your house, you can never tell. Warm your hearth or burn down your house in the fire of love. Well, that's intense. It could be a death or a difficulty or a darker time for a female world power person, somebody in a place of power in the collective sphere. Mercury is in a trine to Pluto from here. Let me see what else I feel about that. Chiron is opposite the whole story with the moon. So we're talking about some kind of chironic wound to a feminine person in the world, a woman, a female, okay? Yeah, what is a woman, that kind of thing. And so a woman chironically wounded, perhaps, about money, rich, power, toxic love could come into our news cycle. Not normally would I even go with the news cycle kind of vibe, but because Pluto is what is hidden and Mercury is what is spoken of or revealed by word and news, there can be a news story here. Okay, so we'll get a handle on that when we get around to that time frame, and I'll be doing a video on it. And he uses archetypes as well, such as Eros and Thanatos, the life urge, Venus, and the death urge, Pluto, right? Or the beauty and the beast. I like that one as well. Good job, Ran. Good job. Now, let's get going. All right, guys, if you're in the premiere listening to this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Any of my people out there who are Reiki healers, I just had this whole thing happen to me where I had this whole download revelation about a situation that I have with my tailbone. That's why I'm so wiggling around, right? I got a pinched nerve in the back of my butt. And I really think that sometimes my sister did a Reiki healing today on me, and it was like I was in a shamanic trance for half of it and had these deep insights and these deep revelations. So I just love healing, but I'm still working on getting this thing out of my ass. It's like, who's a pain in my ass? And I was in the middle of I was doing the actual journey, and I thought, am I under psychic attack, by some of these trolls? And maybe some of you trolls out there have more a psychic Shakti shit that you can throw at me than but also the metaphor, of course, is a pain in the ass. So what is a pain in my ass right now? So I'm working on it. So if I'm wiggling a lot today, that's what's going on, just being real. If you haven't noticed, that's a part of my brand. Okay, let's roll. We are starting today with Aries, as always. And we're going to move to the trine because that's the happy part of the sky. And when I do my week ahead every Monday, I'll do that again. I'll go into a little bit, maybe more depth than I have time for today. But it's just one of the nice spots of September. And when you get my all signs videos that are coming out about a week from now on a Sunday, I dive into that trine for everybody, and even more depth than I'm covering here. Okay. I'm just having a little slow-mo here, so give me a minute. Okay, here we have that trine, and we're not starting with Capricorn. It's just an illusion. We're starting instead with Aries. So let's go all the way to Aries. Aries, 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 sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story of the sky, of Venus moving as she does every single year through the sign of Libra. This time she moves for 3 weeks through the sign of Libra between the 29th or so of August and the 22nd of September. She's moving through the sign of her home kingdom in the house of love. This can strengthen your love relationship, your significant relationships to clients and business partners. It can also give your significant other more love, more glow up, more goodness, and it changes the quality of any significant relationship to one that's more blessed or blessed. However, don't forget, she does connect to the South Node on September the 6th, and that may be, September the 3rd, and that may be a bit of a challenge, a loss of love, a leaking of the love, a stress in the love with a significant long-term love partner or business relationship. And that is going to just be the only thing that looks that bad. We do have a square at the end of the journey, as I mentioned. Let's go from the 19th to the 22nd with Venus squaring Pluto. That's tension between your career and reputation house and things to do with business partnerships, audience, and significant others. What I love the most about this is definitely the trine to Jupiter. And in this regard, Jupiter moving through your third house for the first time in 12 years, and he will be here all the way through until next June, is a signature for something that wants to blossom like a flower in your third house of writing, in your third house of skills-based learning or teaching, in your third house of short distance travel, or your third house of the neighborhood, the neighbors, and your younger siblings, especially, but siblings in general. These areas are going to be fruitful, bounteous, prosperous, and blessed in the middle of September, because travel can be involved, and Jupiter is happy to take that travel opportunity. You're going to see bountiful, gracious, pleasurable, fun, excessively life force generating Eros and Cupido travel opportunity coming up around the 14th and 15th of September. If you are wanting to get a getaway trip with your significant other, it would be an ideal time to take that trip. You would have a great time, and it could really strengthen the romantic energy in your long-term committed love stories. You could get a legal contract or agreement signed to do Libra 7th house, to do with something you're doing in your communicating online, writing, teaching world. So, social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, all of that stuff belongs just like magazines, periodicals, and newspapers to the third house. And so there's a sense maybe of a glow up with your audience marketplace, a real lift. There's also a general sense that you could sign a legal contract and it will look really good on you to do with something you're doing in the writing, communicating space of your life. And that's about it. Nothing like Santa Claus fairy godfather in your third house if you're doing anything to do with writing. I'm trying to write that book proposal for my agent, Eileen, and I told her I need to wait till Venus gets into Libra. So I think that's what we're looking at right here. For me, I'm an Aries sun and moon. Hey, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. I hope I'm still recording. I am. It is a story of Venus, the Lord of your sign. Very important time, moving through Libra between the 29th of August and September the 22nd. It happens every year. And here she goes into a place of sickness, health, work, pets, and rentals. Your sixth house blesses you here when she's here. Health challenges can go away. And I think this could be very positive for releasing a health challenge if you need to release one, especially around September 6th as she hits that south node and you let go of a health ailment. Work situations are blessed, and you may enjoy your work, your colleagues, your coworkers, employees as well if you have them, servants, people who you hire here are lucky, blessed for you. If you want to hire someone, this is a good time. If you are in a work situation, you're having fun and favorable outcomes occur, including perhaps promotions or raises. So Venus is going to give you a lot of good luck and good things, including currency or money through the work environment during her transit 3 weeks through Libra. She does start off, however, after the South Node, coming into a trine relationship to Jupiter in your ka-ching money house. You are in the money and it's coming through work. So for most of you, this is lovely. Something is really gelling for you. You're excited and passionate, and ardor is there for how you're making money. And and feeling really grateful, maybe, and bountiful and optimistic about your finances as they pertain to work matters. And perhaps also, if you've been struggling to change an addiction, some way you eat a food you shouldn't do, some kind of substance abuse thing, things that go in the nose and the mouth belong to your second house. And Venus is a blessed ally in the house of sickness. And so you could definitely turn around any kind of health challenges connected to consumption of things that aren't good for you, that, turn you on, Eros, right? And Cupido, but may not be good for your health. And if you have a desire for a pet, Venus could help you purchase a perfect pet. And if you want to rent a new property or rent out a property, this is also one of the other ways this could work, because rental agreements belong with tenancies to the sixth house. And Jupiter would be a bountiful financial goodness to some new opportunity in that area. And that's probably all I have to say about that. The square to Pluto, though, I'll just very briefly mention, because I'll dive into it at the end of the month, just means you're going to hit a bit of a crucible of tension around this 19th to 22nd of September. They could have conflict between an educational opportunity, a travel opportunity, and a work obligation. For example, this ninth house, the sixth house elements of the sky. My daughter's a Taurus sun. I think she has her convocation ceremony, maybe, or get her graduation certificate or something from university in September. And I bet she can't do it because she's got to go deal with work stories, work obligations in her brand new job. Yeah. Hey, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Where do we start? So Venus is moving through the sign of Libra for the first time, in a year, 3 weeks here, the 29th of August through to the 22nd of August. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to stand up because I cannot sit with this problem. Let me figure something out. Okay, let me find a different angle on my chair. You're going to notice that when Venus is in your fifth house, you're all turned on, especially when she's traveling with Eros Cupido energy. So it's really good for romance, sexuality, and fertility. So a few things. Be careful if you or your partner are not thinking of conceiving a child, and she's in a fertility transit, and the South Node could indicate a pregnancy with a soul contract, being conceived. Just be more careful around this time. These 3 weeks are very high fertility for you, but you don't have to make babies. You can make projects like create a baby book. You could be full of passion and having fun, enjoying your life. New romance started under this is excellent. If you're a single Gemini, because of the trine to Jupiter in your first house, and ruling your seventh, Jupiter rules your seventh, is a really good time for a new relationship to start. You are larger than life, lucky, magnanimous, and Jupiterian, and whoever you fall for will probably fall right back for you. So this could open up a door for a brand new love story big love on steroids, especially. And Venus here is good at money luck, like winning money in the lottery. And so know your limit, play within it, but it is a good chance during this transit to buy a lottery ticket, especially the 14th and 15th of the month, because she trines lucky Jupiter. You may also find that creative projects, art, writing, any kind of creative artistic endeavors are on fire with positive, or on air steroids with positivity. Like you really got a handle, you're jumping for joy. You figured out like how to end that book, how to complete that song, that kind of thing. You may also find your own children who belong to the fifth house are doing very well, and they've got this collateral luck and goodness coming from your chart. And that would mean that your children have especially good vibe during the 3-week transit, with a highlight in the middle of September. She will come into a square to Pluto for the last time in your life, and Pluto is moving toward her from your 8th house. The square to Pluto is maybe conflict about money with a child, conflict about money with shared resources with a spouse, difficult circumstances regarding money that comes from inheritances, some kind of financial tension. It can look like toxic secret love stories as well on September the 14th. On September 19th to the 22nd, or deep, raw intimacy and sharing, the power of love, the deeper aspects of deeper go under the surface, transformational Plutonian love. Your love story could get pulled a little into the underworld, but the love pull into the underworld, the 19th, the 22nd, can redeem the relationship, because it, like a phoenix, it may rise from the ashes of what that energy offers you. And I just think with Pluto here, it's a tantric story. You could have a tantric blowout, with your partner. You don't even know what tantra is, and all of a sudden you both like are floating into the seventh heaven together, and one of you has a spiritual awakening or something like that. So a little bit of that vibe in this story as well. All right, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is your story to see every year. Venus in your fourth house. It happens to be this time around September the 29th to August the 29th to September the 22nd or so. Well, interior design is here. Paint your house, decorate your house, buy a new piece of furniture, beautify your house. Things will go swell and well. Be a little careful around the 6th of September with a south node, because that could be like a mistake. You painted it like lavender, but it looks like, purple, and you don't like it. You might find that a woman is visiting you in the home during this transit, and you might also find that you are loving to be at home alone or home with someone else. In your home, private domestic life brings you enjoyment and joy and fun and pleasure and play. If you're trying to sell a house, this is a good time. Land, property, real estate, homeland. This is your fourth house. Venus is giving you financial blessings. We'll get to that in a minute. Finally, with Venus down here, if you are somebody who's creative, artistic, you're doing that kind of thing in life, there's a real strong energy that you can create something that's really deep from your base, midnight of your own sky, from your deepest home base within yourself. So your creativity is anchored in the midnight hour or the darkest part of the night. And it's things you do quietly, inwardly, home alone, creatively, that can really have some powerful energies for you at this time. Well, the trine to Jupiter is where it's good to buy a house, okay? Or sell a house or something like that. Jupiter in your 12th house, flowing to your 8th house, creating this like super lovely energy here, means that mortgages, bank loans, refinances, indebtedness can be resolved, and fixed. Basically, quite often when Jupiter's in the second house, we'll have a lot of expenditures and financial outlays. We'll feel like a lot of money could be leaving our home as well. But at the same time, we're going to see a transit of the moon around the same time through the 8th house of banks, mortgages, and it's a big trine energy. So for a lot of you, there may be some really interesting real estate type openings September 14th and 15th. You may also have some prosperity coming from foreign people, foreign shores, and foreign lands with Jupiter connected to things you do in and from your home. And Jupiter is, he's in the house of spiritual moksha, liberation, the whole big deal all the way. Spiritual teachers, close to home, in the home, from your homeland, maybe all of a sudden emerging in your story. The square to Pluto is around the 19th to the 22nd, and Pluto is in your 7th house of marriage. And this could be a really difficult time with a long-term committed love partner or a legal contract involving property. Now, there can be wealth with Pluto here and Venus to do with home and property, but challenges and some turbulence around the legal agreements needed to capture the wealth. Or you just could be having a very profound intensity with somebody you are in a long-term relationship with, and things that are going on in the domestic life. Venus wants pleasure and play, and Pluto wants transformation and power. So power plays in love in your home with someone significant to you. Power plays could go on in a difficult time of the 19th to the 22nd. It's the last power play you're going to have. And you've been doing power plays in this part of your sky since 2009 or so. So, it's the last one. Maybe it's the last pattern breaker. No more fighting at home with the one you're with about something that's about who's in charge. Oh my God. I went by hours and hours and speed dialed on that one. Oh my God, guys. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story here for you of dealing with this beautiful transit every year. This time it's the 29th of the month of August through to the 22nd of September. And this is like Venus is saying something like, Let's travel. Let's have some fun. Let's go on a skills-based trip. Let's hang out the pubs, restaurants, and movie theaters. Let's socialize with our neighbors. Let's have fun close to home. Let's enjoy our everyday routines. So you're going to find that's a thing that you're trying to accomplish. Siblings, especially younger, are blessed by the Venus transit, and you may be having some really good energy connected to both an older sibling, one older and one younger, because that's that trine to Pluto. And we'll get to that in a minute. You may also find with Venus here that if you're writing anything, especially in the sign of Libra, library Libra, the word, then you're going to be doing really well. This is great for Leos who are writers or who are bloggers who are on social media land. It gives you a glow up and you have a lot of passion here about what you're doing in your creative communications house. If you want to study something, you're going to choose to learn a course. It's skills-based. You can use it and you love what you're doing. You're having fun. So it's a good time for enrolling in educational opportunities, webinars, seminars, things like that. When the South Node is here as well, that's a little more complicated. So watch out for September the 6th, September the 3rd. I mean, when Venus collides with the South Node in the third house, disappointment or disagreements or hardship or challenges with a younger sibling or neighbors and neighborhood events that are sort of taking your energy away. A trip that disappoints, a trip opportunity that doesn't quite gel, or sometimes a travel opportunity around the 3rd of September that's very karmic. It feels very destined. I feel like you're going back to like a past life place. If you're writing a book, the Libra library, I like the whole month ahead, 3 weeks ahead, but just there could be some kind of raining on your parade, loss of momentum in any kind of writing projects around the 3rd of September. A few days before and after. As Venus moves on, she trines Jupiter, and with all the Eros Cupido energy, it's on fire. These can be other people, friends, allies, benefactors, social groups, third house, traveling with a social group, traveling with a younger and older sibling. Financial gain can happen here through things that you're doing in the online world connected to audience and groups of belonging and allies and benefactors. I mean, you could really feel also that this could lend itself to a bit of a wish come true. You know, our long goals, our wish fulfillment goals are in the 11th house of karmic rewards, and Jupiter is a fairy godfather. And what wishes may you be trying to have come true that also find their expression in the house of travel, in the house of learning, in the house of communicating. Later on, Venus will square Pluto around the 19th to the 22nd of this transit, and that's going to be some tension regarding sixth house matters and Venus. Well, it could be a blowout with a boss, a blowout with an employee, co-worker, power struggles there. It can be challenges to do with a pet situation or a challenge to do with the neighbors and pets, you know, those ones, right? Challenges to do with rental property agreements, especially if it's in your local environment. Pluto in the sixth house for the last time in your life squaring Venus, right? Where have you been feeling this story ongoing? And maybe even sometimes we do dating in the sixth house. It's like before we commit in the seventh, we date. So toxic dating narratives in local environments or online dating apps. Be careful if you're out there in the market, because this could be the toxic love, fatal attraction story. Whether you're going to meet someone in a bar, restaurant, or you've got a dating app set up, just be careful around the 19th to 22nd. That does not look good for the beginning of a new relationship. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story in the sky that opens up Venus moving through your second house every year around this time, because she blesses you in her home dignity here. It's always good for Virgo on the financial front. This is a time where you're financially bounteous, and you also get possessions of beauty, and you can buy or sell possessions that are to do with the love of beauty, art, artworks, you know, your favorite beauty routine, your favorite makeup. So there's a bit of selling or buying perhaps of those things as well. Your desire is to experience and possess things that bring you pleasure and beauty in your life. So we see that on the energy of the 29th of August to the September the 22nd. You may find that your food styles are going to change when she's going through here, because South Node means letting go. So while you may always have enjoyed wine, beer, or, you know, cigarettes, or you may have enjoyed, you know, sugar, cookies, gluteny stuff, whatever's not good for you, self-knowledge allows you to let it go, release it, surrender it, let it go down the drain. And Venus is the goddess of pleasure, but also she's in her dignity here. And she may be saying, I agree, enough is enough. And you guys completely can surrender, South Node, the thing that you ingest that's not good for you. Good time for beautifying your face, getting a new facial stuff done, making your face look good. Venus in your second. Your money is also increasing. Your possessions and your money story and gets a nice glow here. Venus is also in a course trine to Jupiter. As time goes on the 14th and 15th exactly, we start to feel it more obviously. It can look like a career bonus. Someone gives you a raise, a promotion, a good performance review. It's going to later give you more money. Your beloved is in the 10th house, so it's your boss or some colleague or coworker who's got the wealth. Well, you get the money. It's really good for your work and money stories. And it looks like you're getting a mid-September glow up. Looking for a job, ideal time to get it, apply, or to go for that interview as well. And your reputation is where Jupiter is. You're expanding your reputation. There's some passion up there. Venus is giving you all you need financially from your career reputation. Now, I know you're retired, you're a student. Your reputation and your 10th house is, I get good grades or not. And if you're retired, you tell me what you're doing. I never know what to do with you guys. It's like, what do you do when you're retired? Because everyone's seeing you do something as a 10th house, right? So they see you doing what? Going to the soup kitchen, going golfing, going to the bridge club. I don't know. It's tough to do the reputation career space as well as you would for the people who are retired. Because even I know people are multimillionaires who are early retired, but they're doing something in the world. No one can just couch potato out, right? So what are you doing that people notice you're doing because you're getting a glow up in that? And you may just be feeling good about your finances and or your dietary style as well. And then we see Venus coming into a square to Pluto. This is hard, 19th to the 22nd. Major verbal blow up with a child, major discussion of deep profound consequences with a lover or beloved or a romantic partner. Your speeches here, right? And your values and self-worth are here. And Pluto is squaring you from the house of sexuality. You may come into a bit of a bump in romantic stories, and your self-esteem might be feeling dented here around the 19th to the 22nd. God of riches is Pluto in the house of winning money. Venus is a goddess of money. If you're going to win some money out of this, I'm not saying you can or can't, but I would suggest it has something to do, second house. Well, you buy the lottery ticket, right? It's a possession. So maybe some of you could come into money that way. In India, your family of origin is actually the second house. And so money from somebody in your family of origin, but coming at a bit of a cost or a hardship. Wealth coming in, but really gnarly way of arriving on your doorstep, the 19th to the 22nd. That's the best I can do with that one. When Venus is in your second house, you have to look at how you are naturally well-spoken. Naturally, people like to listen to you. Naturally, you're persuasive with your speech. Okay. But the square to Pluto is who's the struggle with? Is it a child? Is it a lover? Who is it? Well, there's a clash here around the 19th to the 22nd. Now, normally I stop at Gemini for a chocolate break, but today I'm stopping, instead of Gemini, I'm stopping with Libra. It's all you air signs make me want to eat chocolate. Hang on a sec, I'll be right back. So guys, one of these water companies asked me to be a sponsor, and I'm thinking about it because I drink a gallon of water a day, but I'm going to reach out to these guys. This is my favorite chocolate brand. I'm not getting money for this. It's called Who or Hue, and it's Get Back to Human, and it's all organic. The packaging is all biodegradable. And it's absolutely delicious. This is a hazelnut butter one, but you can get just plain dark chocolate, sea salt. It's so good. And I just love it. They even have it best before expiry date on it. So, it's not old chocolate when you buy this, how that looks like dried out. And they have an ethos, we founded Who to unite. We founded Who to unite ultra simple ingredients with unbeatable taste. It is unbeatable taste. And Jordan and Jessica, sibling co-founders, and I believe it's imported from Italy, so they're Italian. I don't know if you guys have ever tried this brand. I mean, you can get it in Canada at different places. I think it's in the United States, it's at Whole Foods, but oh my God. So I would love to be a brand sponsor for those guys, because I literally love chocolate and I love their chocolate. All right, that is my chocolate break and my ad for no good reason. Okay, let's go back. We're going to get done. We're going to get done. Thank you for all your love. I hit 80,000 subscribers recently, and my goal is 100,000 by the end of the year. And I grew by 6,000 subscribers last month, or the month of August so far, August 20th. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. I'm excited because I mean, this channel is my consuming passion. Less so than anything else right now. Seeing clients is something I'm really not getting much time for anymore, but I was in the trenches for years. All right, so September 15th. Yeah, here we go. So Venus is moving for you Libras into the sign of her home kingdom. And you love this transit. You love it because it is yours to lose or use. Why not? You know, she got into this part of your chart. We'll get in there on the 29th, and she will leave of August, the September 22nd. And you get beautiful. You get lucky. You get congenial. You get friendly. You get persuasive. You look good on you. People sense you are glowing as she shines the light of her energy through your ascendant. Of course, you can shine it through your sun and moon as well. Sun would be your career. Ascendant would be your character. Moon would be your body, mind. You know, I forgot to introduce those concepts in the beginning, but you know, if you watch my channel enough, I explain it every time at the beginning. Ultimately, though, when this transit is in play, this is a really good time for you to change your wardrobe, change your hair, change the way you look. The goddess of beauty is in the house of your form or how you look, especially for the moons and more so for the ascendants. But all you Libras like the vibe, right? So as this is happening, there's a bit of a dip, a little trouble here. Venus will bump into the South Node as she did last November 28th, if you want to make notes and compare it. And so around September the 6th, you might find yourself, September the 3rd, when she bumps into the node at 6 degrees of Libra, especially if your Libra sun, moon, or rising is near 6 degrees, you might be feeling a little bit like you have to go, I give up, I surrender, I let go, I release. Oh, well, you know, South Node is what is taken away. It's usually about letting go of something. Venus is about letting go of a pleasure, letting go of a love story, letting go of a money story, you know, releasing something here. But don't worry, she will continue forward, and it gets, you know, out of that gnarly first part of the sky, and she'll move into the beautiful trine to Jupiter. And this beautiful trine to Jupiter is opening up a door of success in the following areas of life. The 14th and 15th September, give or take a few days, book publishing, luck and success, foreign land travel, luck and success, spiritual gurus, teachers, guides, mentors who come to you, who bring you goodness and goodness and goodness, positive developments regarding education, higher education, colleges, campuses, and universities, really good outcomes on legal and court matters that work in your behalf in your favor. And possibly if you're in a third long-term marriage type of relationship, then that is going to get superior blessings, because the ninth house is the third house, the marriage house, the house of the third marriage, using the one of two techniques from India that I prefer. Now, energetically, when Jupiter's at the top of the sky, in this part of the sky, he is an affinity. He's like a preacher on a pulpit. He's in the house of God. He represents wisdom, knowledge, and truth. You could come into some sublime and beautiful wisdom, knowledge, and deep truth around the 14th and 15th of the month of September, give or take a few days. And you may be really grateful and giddy for the pleasure and the joy of receiving that knowledge and wisdom in some way. And if you want to travel somewhere, or you've already got a plan, especially if it's far off foreign shores or involves visas and passports, etc., this is a really lovely time to travel, middle of September. And travel brings pleasure, joy, enjoyment, luck, bounty, and maybe a big love. If you're a single Libra looking for love, then travel can have a love ending. Good old Under the Tuscan Sun 101, good old movie. Finding love in far off shores may occur for single Libra, sun, moon, and rising folk. Venus comes into a difficult connection to Pluto. It's called a square. When this happens, it's the 19th to the 22nd. The last such conjunction with Pluto a square with Pluto in your lifetime. This energy is conflict in your domestic life over power, love of power, control and love and sex and love control. Like, honestly, it could be as simple as your partner says, I'm not in the mood. I've got a headache, but there's this tension here. You may also have some problems in your home that are Plutonian. I don't know. Death, riches, betrayals, toxicity, forbidden stories, hidden stories. Venus is squaring from you. You're protected. It's not really about you. You're doing just fine. Pluto back ending here is ending a story that began already in 2009 with these ongoing Venus in Libra Pluto squares. If you have any unresolved family of origin, childhood issues that are still bothering you, especially if you want to say even past life and childhood, Mercury in your 12th, then you're going to come to a final resolution of some of these blocks from your childhood. Who controlled you as a child? Who did something not good, forbidden love, inappropriate love, traumatic love in your childhood stories. And that is maybe something some of you may be conquering, facing, and dealing up directly through circumstances that arise in your life the 19th to the 22nd of the month of September. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. It is a sky that says something along the lines of, in our yearly transit through your 12th house, you love your bed pleasures. You love your alone time. You love what you do when no one's looking. You love being behind the scenes of your own life. And so your enjoyment of your home alone, boudoir, bed pleasures, downtime, secret life, right? So this is a time for a lot of people when Venus is in the 12th house as well to consider traveling. If it is a travel trip that has a spiritual element or brings you to a far off foreign place that you're going to really enjoy. I find that Venus in the 12th house is also really good for the kind of thing you would do when you need the solitude, you need the isolation, you need the aloneness. It's not just that you are alone, but you need to finish that book. So you're going to book a cabin and write solid for 3 weeks. So it has the element of taking you offline from the regular world in order to get something Venusian done. And she's like creativity, art, music, performing, that kind of thing. When she's in the 12th house, you may have spiritual women teachers show up in your life, gurus and guides who are women, and you may be thinking about studying or learning something. She's going to activate your 9th house, 3rd house axis, and you will want to learn something that brings you enjoyment and pleasure, and you may enroll in study or learning opportunities during the transit. She will come into her conjunction to the South Node on September 3rd, a few days before and after. There could be some need to let go of an addiction, a self-undoing, or a bad habit, because, we have those secret vices in our 12th house. And quite often we undo ourselves. We fall away from ourselves here because we are our own worst enemy. The hidden enemy of the 12th is often ourself. And so the enemy of you undoing you, South Node Venus, is through something that's pleasurable but not sustainable. And so some of you may be really able to release a forbidden pleasure, guilty pleasure that's no longer good for you. You may have tried to do that as well back in November last year as well. It was on November the 28th of 2023. She also co-joined the South Node in your 12th house. Now, as she moves forward, she comes into that lucky trine, a glorious big love energy, big money energy, big love, big money. I should call this one big love, big money. I kind of like that. Let me write it down. Big love, big money. All right. She's going to come into the trine. Okay, she's going to come into the trine to Jupiter in your 8th house of chunky money. And this is like, wow, are you going to get an inheritance? 12th house would be, somebody's in the hospital. It's the house of hospitals, and Jupiter is the money goddess in the house of hospitals, and Jupiter in the house of chunky money inheritances, moon in the house of legacy wealth. Possibly some Scorpios are looking at some money coming from inheritances or family of origin in some fundamental way, okay? And possibly through a female or female figure in your family of origin. You also may have a desire for a secret love affair. Jupiter with Eros and Cupido and Venus with Eros, hidden secret love affairs going on behind the scenes around the September 13th and 14th, but you're having fun. It's bringing good things to you. If you're at all wanting to get any kind of money that doesn't belong to you up and running, Venus rules your marriage house. And so this could be if you're married or with some long-term partner. This could simply be you are going to get some financial bounty coming through the energy field of your significant other. And hey, with the algal Uranus energy here, unexpected wealth in and from and through a long-term partner could be a story for some of you Scorpios, or from a sudden wealth, residual income, passive income, royalty income, coming at you through something to do with an unexpected legal contract or client. These are energies that Venus rules as she's in behind the scenes doing something for you. I mean, it could even be a tax rebate and you go, oh my God, I got a big tax rebate. Or you could use this for refinancing property or getting a new mortgage or changing something about home and finances. Okay. Middle of September 14th, 15th, a few days before and after. As you move into the square to Pluto on the 19th to the 22nd of September, this is a bit of tension with a sibling, especially younger. This is tension with you and a neighbor. This is tension with you and a situation in your everyday daily routines, and somebody who's being tyrannical or thuggish here, squaring your Venus. You just want to be home alone doing creative things. And you've got this tension with the neighbor, the sibling, the local environment, things you're having to do there. This can be travel plans that are coming up. We have travel in the 3rd. We have Mars traveling through the 9th in lack of dignity, and Venus is in the house of far off lands. Some opportunities for travel, but there's intensity. It could be travel for love, but it could be a fatal attraction. Is it possessive love, travel, desperation? I don't know. It's not a good energy to start a new relationship unless you want that relationship to be always Pluto square Venus. It's very intense. Yeah. The online world and dating apps belong to the 3rd house. Venus is in a hidden place. Jupiter's in the house of betrayals and infidelities. And so do not, even though there's a trine between Jupiter and Venus, the square later on, the 19th to the 20th, I wouldn't engage in a dating app opportunity during the 19th to the 22nd of the month. I'd stay clear of that. Okay. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. The energy of Venus moving in Libra every year is wonderful in your 11th house, because this is a house of good spirit where good things happen. Fairy godfathers and mothers live here, and you have Tinkerbell. And all of you believe in magic, clap your hands. I mean, this is where your wishes can be fulfilled and where wishes happen. This is where your friends and allies find you. This is where your elder sibling is really helpful. And this is where you get things to do with your money and gains, and even perks like fame and celebrity from your career occur. So it's second from your 10th house. That's why. And so your 11th house gets a Venusian glow, and that is so beautiful between the 29th of August and the 22nd of September. Women favor you. You are favored by women. Women can be great benefactors or helpers for you in some way. But that said, we do see Venus jumping into the arms of the South Node, as she did last November. She's doing it again here on September 3rd. Where is there some disappointment or loss regarding your dreams, your wishes, your friendships, especially with females, your large groups of belonging, social circles, or just generally the way you thought this career, Virgo 10th house of career, would bring you a particular gain. Maybe you didn't get the contract you wanted. Maybe you weren't hired. Maybe the negotiation for the raise didn't occur properly, that kind of stuff. But this is a short-lived disappointment, and along goes Venus into the arms of a loving Jupiter trine. Jupiter, where do you go? In your 7th house of marriage. Now, that is not too bad for coming into a new relationship if you're single. And that would be through social groups, friends as allies, introductions to people, doing a social event and meeting someone. And all that art or Eros and all that Cupido, falling madly in love. This is really good for single Sagittarius to fall madly in love in the middle of September. End of story. Well, also, you may have the most amazing opportunity with a spouse, like an event you get to go to. You've always wanted to go see the Rolling Stones. You thought they were dead. And now you and your partner are getting to go front row center, like a glorious social event that's very lucky and fortunate with you and your significant other. You could also get a legal contract that really benefits you financially connected to work and career matters. Mid-September. When we move forward, though, Venus then gets tangled up in some power struggles with Pluto in your money and spending and earnings and financial resources house. Now, the way Pluto is seated here, it's the last time this kind of financial struggle can happen for you with a sibling or with an older sibling, with a friend. Money struggles with friends. I mean, I know a Sag who's gone through a couple of these with sibling money stories of power struggles, loss, disappointment, and with friends. And so that's nothing new to you. You've been going through that maybe on and off for like the last 14 years, right? This is the last time. Maybe you're going to learn something here. Pluto's willing to meet Venus face to face. You know, I'll do a deeper dive into that later in the month. But watch out for power struggles around wealth, financial matters, possessions and resources with a kind of an 11th house person, that friend, that sibling, elder sibling, that social group and money. They want you to pay the dues you owe the club, but you said, what, since when did we double the dues? And now you're in a power struggle over fair value, you know? And that's going to be the 19th to the 22nd. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Venus in the sky in your 10th house, starting on the 29th of August to the 22nd of September, is simply a beautiful time for your work and your reputation. You can get a lot of celebrity if you're in the high sky here. If you need to be high in the sky, this is like where your YouTube channel takes off, or you do the speech from the TED Talk from heaven, or you're in front of your sales team at the office and everyone cheers you on, gives you a standing ovation. But on the other hand, Venus up here just means good luck, happy and fun, and prosperity, bounty, and goodness in your career and reputation zone of the sky. For whatever you do in the world. Some of you aren't employed, that's fine. You do something that people notice you're doing. And energetically, normally it's just a ball of yay. But we have the South Node co-present. There's some disappointment maybe last November in the career and reputation vibe. And now you have another dip into some difficulty. And your social standing is here. It's not just your like career. Like, what's your social standing? You have a dip in your reputation, or your social standing go downhill? Did you get dropped a whole caste from the upper middle to the middle? What social standing losses are you experiencing? Because basically, last November 28th, and here we are again, September the 3rd, give or take a few days on either side, Venus is in the surrendered chalice of the South Node, and maybe there's something you need to let go of. Is it a job? Is it a reputation matter? Is it a situation in the work environment that's no longer feasible for you? We move past that, and we move instead, like quickly, into the middle of the month, the 14th, the 15th, give or take a few days, as Venus forms a trine to Jupiter for big love, big money. Now, this is love. This is not love, really, unless you're going to fall in love with someone in the office, which office affairs often happen when Venus is transiting the 10th house. So you still could have a big love office affair. I take it back. You may fall madly in love with the boss with you, colleagues, co-workers, interdivisional love. So love can emerge for single caps in work environments. But if it's not about love, it's about the work, and the work is prosperous because Jupiter is in the house of work and Venus is in money and wealth gods are getting together in a work setting, in a career environment. So we could go with raises and promotions. We could go with getting your perfect dream job. We could go with some kind of glorious up level. The boss is loving you, gives you more power, gives you a bigger office, a corner office, whatever. This is like good shit going on in the work and career. Lucky breaks, big love breaks, but you're passionate, excited, and you're loving the vibe. You're really having a good time in the experience of it. And also, just because we have Eros and Cupido mucked up, it can definitely go office affair or professional alliances turn into love. Okay. So although you looking for love, Capricorns, this is going to open a possible door for that. Otherwise, it's lucky work opportunities coming at you. End of story. And that's around the middle of September. Now, we do know that she comes into a power struggle with Pluto, and we're going to have to buckle up for the last such power struggle between work environment situations and you. You are pushing back on the yearly since 2009 when she goes into that 10th house, and Pluto in your sign has gone into combat around power struggles and love and power struggles and the love of power. So I don't know, you're the one with the power energy, you're the Pluto, you're the mafia don, you're the big boss tyrant or beneficent, rich one, powerful one. You're just you're struggling with some kind of situation in your social standing, reputation, or work environment as that doesn't jive with what you, the all-powerful, all-knowing, transformational Pluto, want. Don't forget, fatal attractions and toxic love stories are the archetype of the square. And therefore, jealousy, possession, and all of that may occur in love, but connected to work and reputation matters. And it doesn't have to be work. It could be you're being stalked by somebody and your reputation is on the line because this woman or man is out there, smearing you or something. So watch for that kind of intensity. I'm not hoping it for you, but it's like watch out the 19th to the 22nd. It too shall pass. It too shall pass. And I do want to continue to say one more thing. I mean, with Venus here, Jupiter here, and the moon here, you get a couple of days in the middle of the month with a grand Earth air trine, new ideas, new opportunities, new emails and phone calls and text messages popping in with money opportunities connected to work mid-September. Oh, Aquarius, I am one of you. I'm still ticking along, guys. Oh my God, this is another long video. What happens when Venus moves through Libra is you enjoy it. You will love this again as you do every time because she moves through Libra every year and she flows to your Aquarius ascendant. Okay. So you're receiving her love. She's beaming it from a Lakshmi luck and prosperity house in Indian astrology. And she's sending her rays of goodness right at you. She's applying, she's looking at you, superior direction toward you. This is feeling like yay every year for us. So I tend to note it. This isn't my best time of year. So how do you guys feel? Now, this year it happens to be, of course, the 29th of August to September the 22nd. It's different, a little bit different every year. But, late August, September is auspicious for us. And as Venus is moving through the ninth house, you may find that book publishing, podcasting, spirituality, truth and wisdom, higher education and learning or teaching environments, and long distance foreign short travel become highlighted in a very exquisite, eloquent, beautiful, and positive way. Those things are yes, yes, yes for you during this window of time. Venus up here is also about fairness. And in Libra, it's about legal fairness, and legal matters can resolve in your behalf with mediation, negotiations, and contracts finalizing in good ways if you've been dealing with legal circumstances. That said, there is a bit of a south node dip. Venus will bump into that south node September the 3rd. She also did it last November 24th or so, I think. And it's not so important to note the dates exactly. Just know that while there is sweetness, there's also bitterness because you need to also surrender. So where do you have to put up your hands, let go, let God in the house of God? Well, pretty seriously, looks like spiritual liberation opportunities arising. And you may encounter the Venus trine over the south node is some kind of release, a release of a belief, a spiritual path, a tradition, or a deepening, because the South Node K2 represents that part of us that is already leaning into God. And the ninth house is the house of God. So there may be some spiritual awakening energy that she can open up through feminine energies, the divine feminine, feminine teachers, sexuality that spiritually awakens you. Then, because she comes in the middle of the month into a trine to Jupiter in the house of money, good fortune, including winning money, money luck. And Jupiter is the guy who brings everything that you want, fairy godfather, and he's the god of wealth. And this is Venus, the god of money, money from foreign places, foreign people. Lucky money breaks through winning money in things that are ninth house, fifth house. Well, the ninth house would be government bureaucracies. All our big lotteries in our North American environment are run by government. So government lottery wins could be here, perhaps. Good prosperity and positive outcomes that are very lucky, especially romantically, sexually, involving travel and leisure and fun with a significant partner if they are your third long-term committed live-in love story, like a marriage. Jupiter is your children, and it's also fertility. And Jupiter is the planet of children. Venus is the conception goddess. And so watch out here, like sperm and ovum. This is a nice fertility transit for Aquarians wanting to make babies. If you don't, be careful. Also, it could indicate announcements around grandchildren coming your way, being born or conceived. When, like in the middle of September. And I don't know if that's the conception point or you hear about it. We shall see. And with this energy, I think you might find yourself diving deeper into the way you wish to be creative, right? Jupiter is in the house of the muse, the arts, the creativity, the entrepreneurial energies, and Venus is in the house of God. And so it's being in dharmic alignment, finding your true calling, moving in alignment with your true path in the creative and energetically entrepreneurial fifth house. Now, what about Pluto? Venus will come into contact with a square to Pluto, power struggles with addictions, trying to let go, let God there. Pluto in the house of self-undoing. Pluto in the house of isolation. Some crisis around time alone versus travel. Pluto could be really deep karmic stories that are really outside the thought patterns, really breaking through a tension moment on the 19th to the 22nd with a karmic pattern connected to past lives, South Node, connected to God. Critical turning points, but intense with wealth and money, connected to income generated from far off foreign shores and lands, but there's a stress point around it on the 19th to the 22nd, okay? Pluto in the 12th house of money generated from far off foreign shores, and Venus in a travel house. It could mean you're traveling and you're going to make some money, or you want to travel and it's at odds with money. I don't know, but the 19th to the 22nd. And I'll let you know what happens. Finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. We got Venus, the exaltation lord for your sign, moving through Libra, your 8th house of chunky money, as she does every year. This time, the 29th of August to the 22nd of September. This is a beautiful time for getting some money coming to you that you don't get in an earnings paycheck manner, a tax rebate, a stock taking off, a bit of inheritance money, some kind of debt paid back that you didn't expect, money coming from these weird places, right? A big royalty check. So what a dividend check from heaven from a stock you own. So you share the money with other people, banks, loans, institutions, and all of that as well. You may find that this is going to also be about secret love. When Venus is here, sometimes we have hidden love affairs. We're infatuated in inappropriate ways with people we can't be with, and we hide the love from the world. So get ready for that possibility with the South Node and Eros. Karmic hidden love stories, passion is hidden from view, may arise for some of you Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. With this transit, though, Venus bumps into the South Node of fate, and this is going to be a bit of a difficult surrender release, and watch your stock market stuff if you have it. Venus, the money goddess, could be going down the drain. So any Pisces invested in the stock market, be careful. September 3rd, 2 or 3 days on either side. Watch out for that. Also, the energy of Venus South Node can be about a deeply karmatic, but really deeply karmatic love story. The most karmic house of the sky is your 8th house. Venus is a goddess of love. And if you're single looking for love, maybe you encounter your deepest karmatic love mate around September the 3rd, give or take a few days. Venus moves on the 14th, 15th into a trine to Jupiter. Now, Jupiter in your 4th house is good for property, home, land, and real estate matters. This is good for buying, selling, mortgaging, refinancing. This is good for literally anything to do with property, especially foreign land property as well, with the moon traveling through the first middle of the month through your 12th house. Legacy wealth, meaning from your parents or up your family line, Jupiter in the 4th house may occur for you during this transit. Some money from the upline may show up in your life during this time frame, especially around the middle of the month, 14th, 15th, and give it a few days before and after. Jupiter may give you a beautiful, happy opportunity in and from your home that involves something financially beneficial. Venus in the 8th. The money you share with your spouse belongs to the 8th house. You've got the sun in the house of the spouse with Mercury, the god of news. Maybe your spouse has some really great news for both of you about your finances, and it's going to cause you to be hopeful and faithful and celebratory in and by and from your home. As Venus gets moving forward, She does come into a complex energy because it's the last time since 2009 really that you had a Venus square Pluto going on, and they're coming toward each other. That's what makes it so cool. Where have you had struggles around financial matters? Both 11 and 8 are money houses. In career gains, and if you've been struggling to have career gains work for you in sustainable, long-lasting treasure chest ways in the course of 2009 until now, this is like almost the truth and reconciliation square. I mean, they're coming to each other, and Pluto's saying, sorry about that turbulence in your career and money stuff for the last 15, 16 years. And Venus is saying, yeah, let's figure this thing out, for goodness sakes. Venus might want you to create money in a way you're passionate about through occult things like tarot cards, astrology, sacred mysteries, tantra. She's there. And Pluto's saying, okay, well, I'm coming towards you, and I'm the gains from the 10th house. So let's work out a deal. Maybe for some Pisces who struggled with their career money story with Chiron here since 2019, you guys have been going through it. You're not making the money you think you should make. This could really turn it around. But there's going to be tension in the sky at the same time, the 19th to the 22nd. And it could outpicture as a financial blowout with an elder sibling, a financial blowout with a friend, or in a context of career earnings or groups of belonging. Watch for financial tensions with accountants and tax matters as well. Temporary, fleeting, and passing, but still the last time to deal with it is now. This time frame is the last such conflict. Again, the 19th to the 22nd of September. Woo! Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'm recording for my Patreon community on August the 20th, and you guys will get this on Thursday, 22nd. Often I'm recording a lot earlier than this, but it has been one of the most busy astrological times of my life. The sky has been so busy. We're in the middle of the DNC. Don't know what's going to happen. My predictions may be wrong. I thought Kamala this week and into early next week, we're going to go through a very difficult story for her. There could be a bit of a scandal about her reputation or something like that. And I was saying love scandals or money scandals, but I'm getting a lot of energy around the algol being alcohol, and the asteroid Bacchus is on Kamala Harris's Venus, more or less, and her fallen Venus in the house, which is privately at home. And there's a lot of chatter right now on August 20th that she has been quite often inebriated in public. And I hope not, because that's really hard. I know a lot of friends who struggled with alcohol addiction, and you can be quite functional and be addicted to alcohol. It's a highly addictive substance. If you don't know that, read Annie Grace's This Naked Mind. It'll turn your ideas of what alcohol is and isn't around. Nobody will not be addicted. Will be addicted at slower paces than other people, but it is an addictive substance for almost everybody. So I'm going to say here, maybe Kamala has some kind of massive downdraft from alcohol problems that are visible to the world in the next week or so at the DNC. We shall see. All right. Not wanting it for her. I'm not pro-Biden, pro-Kamala, or pro-Trump. Bye, guys. It is August 20th. As I said, see you later. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I appreciate that.